Let me ask you something important. What are you tolerating right now that's quietly destroying your future? Because here's the truth. You don't get in life what you want. You get what you tolerate. And the moment you raise your standards, everything changes. Raise your standards or settle for less. Welcome back to Channel Wisdom Swing. Today, we're talking about the invisible force that shapes your income, your relationships, your confidence, and your destiny. Tony Robbins teaches this powerful truth. Your life is the result of your standards, not your goals, not your wishes, not your intentions, your standards. If you don't consciously raise them, life will keep giving you the same results again and again, because people don't fail from lack of desire. They fail from low standards. Today, that changes. 1. People get what they tolerate. Tony Robbins says, whatever you tolerate, you invite. Think about it. If you tolerate disrespect, you get more of it. If you tolerate laziness, your life stays small. If you tolerate excuses, progress disappears. If you tolerate mediocrity, mediocrity becomes your identity. Most people aren't stuck because life is unfair. They're stuck because they've learned to live with less than what they're capable of. They complain, but they don't change. And Tony Robbins makes it clear. Change begins the moment you say, this is no longer acceptable to standards. SHAP identity here. Something most people don't understand. Goals are what you want. Standards are who you are. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your standards. If your standard is, I'll try when I feel like it, then inconsistency becomes your life. If your standard is, I show up no matter what, then discipline becomes your identity. Tony Robbins says, your identity is shaped by the standards you set for yourself. When you raise your standards, you don't just change your behavior, you change who you believe you are. And once identity shifts, results follow automatically. 3. Why most people unEVR change. Most people say they want change, but wanting is not enough. Tony Robbins explains. People only change when the pain of staying the same becomes greater than the pain of change. So they stay in jobs they hate. They stay in relationships that drain them. They stay in habits that weaken them. Not because they can't change, but because they've decided to tolerate the pain. And tolerance is silent sabotage. Until one day, they hit a breaking point. That moment when you finally say, enough is enough. That's the birth of a new standard. For raise your standards. Change why you are life. Tony Robbins teaches that lasting change happens in an instant when standards rise, not gradually, not someday, in a moment of absolute certainty. That moment sounds like this. I will no longer accept excuses from myself. I will no longer live below my potential. I will no longer settle for average. I will no longer tolerate what drains my energy. These are non-negotiables. And non-negotiables create power. When your standards rise, your actions rise to meet them. 5. Growth begins with non-negotiables. Tony Robbins says, real change comes when your standards become stronger than your moods. Non-negotiables are the rules you live by no matter how you feel. Examples. I move my body every day. I speak to myself with respect. I do the hard things first. I keep my word to myself. I show up prepared. When something is non-negotiable, it doesn't depend on motivation. It depends on identity, and identity is powerful. 6. The cost of low standards. Tony Robbins often asks, what will this cost you if nothing changes? Low standards cost you years of regret, lost confidence, missed opportunities, shallow relationships, unfulfilled potential. The scariest cost of all, becoming someone you never wanted to be, not because you failed, but because you settled. That's why Tony Robbins says, the quality of your life is the quality of your standards. 7. How to raise your standards. How Tony Robbins teaches you to do it. Starting now, decide what you will no longer tolerate. Be honest. Write it down. Make it painful. Change begins with clarity. Create new non-negotiable standards that demand growth, not comfort, not convenience. Growth. Back them with action. Standards without action are just words. Your behavior must match your declaration. Reinforce your identity daily. Remind yourself, this is who I am now. Consistency turns standards into destiny. When standards rise, everything rises. When you raise your standards, your confidence rises, your discipline strengthens, your energy improves, your relationships change, your income grows. Your self-respect returns, not because life got easier, but because you got stronger. Tony Robbins teaches, if you raise your standards, your life will rise to meet them. Let today be the day you stop settling. Stop tolerating what weakens you. Stop accepting what drains you. Stop negotiating with your potential because you don't get in life what you want. You get what you tolerate. Raise your standards, make them non-negotiable, and watch your life transform. Thank you for watching Channel Wisdom Swing. Remember this forever. Raise your standards or settle for less. The choice is yours.